What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 46 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast on YouTube. We're going to get started here in a minute on the recording of the podcast as the car goes by Matthew's place. But I'm here with my brothers Matt and Christian, and Matt is frozen apparently, but we can see him. I don't know if he can see or hear us. Christian, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm a
Okay.
little downbeat after seeing Mane is out for 6 weeks again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know why I asked you because I'm going to ask you this again and you're probably going to give me shit. But that's good to know. Matt, say hello. Can you hear us?
Hey, whoa, all right, yeah, now I can hear you guys. Hey,
Okay.
hello.
All right. All right. So we'll see how this goes, listeners. Just stick with us here. We appreciate it. I think we're ready to jump right in. We don't have trivia. We don't have fan futsal games, so nothing really to prepare. So we are ready to rock. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yay. All right. Let's go. Whoops.
I'm
wasn't
sorry, what?
I started to say welcome, then I said what's going on, and so it just came out.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 46 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast, brought to you by Fan Futsal. As always, my name is Dave Knittel, and I'm here with my brothers Christian and Matt to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Still a little bit hungover from the weekend and a little bit downbeat about Mane's injury, but life goes on.
Yeah. Sunday fun day. How was your birthday?
It was a lot of recovering is what it was. It was nice, though.
Yeah. Had a little bit too much to drink at your local watering hole on Sunday.
Yeah, shout out to Harry's and all the bartenders that work there for giving me like 10 free shots and 7 free Long Islands
Oh man.
and and then popping a bottle of champagne at midnight, which I forgot about until recently.
There at midnight?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, more power to you. Still living that young life. I could not do that. Matt, how about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Dave. Yeah, I haven't been out till midnight any time recently, so that's crazy, Christian.
Yeah, and that doesn't sound like anything that would happen in college, so I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, thank you for asking. I am doing well as well. I'm a little nervous about this U.S. game. So it's Tuesday, October 10th, in about 2 hours. U.S. kicks off the final World Cup qualifier. Having trouble speaking today.
Final.
Finer. And so I'm nervous about that. But other than that, I'm doing fairly well. Excited about some things going on with fan futsal. We don't have a trivia question, so we're going to jump right into our topics here. But before we do that, let me tell you about Fan Futsal. So Fan Futsal is my startup. I am the founder of it. It is a simplified weekly fantasy soccer game. You select 5 clubs instead of 8 to 11 individual players, and fantasy scoring is all based on match scores rather than individual statistics. So really simplifying the game, but we are still keeping a lot of the other strategic elements that make fantasy soccer fun. So you have formations, you have positions, which emphasize different scoring attributes and things like that. We have games from 7 different leagues, so the 5 major European as well as MLS and Liga MX on there. Check it out. We just launched a new feature, which is why I'm amped and excited about this week. Multi-week tournament style feature where you get groups of 4, so 4, 8, 16, or 32 people broken into groups of 4. You play everybody in your group one time, then you move on to a knockout round. So really excited about that launch. It's a little mini league, little mini tournament, and so definitely go check it out at fanfutsal, FANFUTSAL.com. With that, let's get into our segments, and wanted to kick things right off with World Cup qualifying, which is what I was speaking about before. And the U.S. played Panama last Friday in a must-win match. I mean, technically it wasn't must-win, but they really needed a win and came through big time with a 4-0 victory. Christian, did you see the match? What did you think about the U.S.'s performance in it?
Yes, I did watch the match. I actually was at Harry's, so I pretty much live there, everybody. We watched the game. What was my score prediction? Do we remember?
No, I don't think we did a score prediction, did we?
Yeah, we did. We sure did in the last podcast.
I think it may have been 4-0. I don't know.
I
Let's
think I
just say
said 4-0. I was very confident going into this game at home. I know there were a lot of nerves, but I thought playing against Panama down in Florida, we had a little bit of confidence going into that one, and especially knowing that we needed to win. We did step up. Pulisic was phenomenal in the first half specifically, but kind of got eaten alive the entire game by the defenders, just continually getting kicked and knocked over.
Yeah, just
But
physically. I wouldn't say he got eaten alive, but he got physically.
yeah, he was being. There was a lot of dirty tackles going on him. So
CONCACAF.
yeah, it happens. But I'm interested to see what happens tonight. I think we're going to win again. Draw pretty much puts us through, right, at this point.
Yep.
But I think we're going to go for the win, and I think we'll grab it.
Okay. Matt, what about you? What did you think of the match last week against Panama? Did you watch?
Yeah, I watched. I think we played really well. Fast start, kept the shutout. We did pretty much everything we needed to do. Pulisic, I mean, he was getting kicked and looked pretty hurt, so I was fine with him getting withdrawn from the match. But like everything looked good. Josie was scoring. Bobby Wood had a bunch of opportunities. Having two strikers up top like that looked really good with Pulisic underneath.
Yeah, agreed. So you brought up two things that I wanted to talk about. So Pulisic getting kicked. Does he need to do something himself to move the ball more? Does he need to, pass the ball earlier? Is there anything he needs to do, or is it just a matter of like he's going to get kicked because that's the way he plays and he shouldn't change the way he plays? Matt, what do you think about that?
No, I think there's his play. Like Hazard's always going to get kicked, but that's just how he plays. Very skillful, very good at dribbling. And I think that's what makes him so dangerous.
Christian, what about you? Does he need to change his game at all?
He's that type of player that wants players to draw into him, and he's going to try and get around them. It's just his style. That's the way Neymar, Matt said, Hazard. They're all that kind of player, and that's how they make their money. They're going to dazzle and try and dribble by people, and long term, he's going to have to change that because he's not going to be 19 forever, and eventually that's going to catch up to him, getting continually kicked. But as of now, I think this is perfectly fine for him to play this way.
Yeah, Neymar's a perfect example. That was the one I was going to bring up because that's a lot of times the way he played. But, I mean, he still plays that way. He's 25 and still plays that way. So maybe Pulisic can continue to play that way. The other thing, Matt, you brought up is the formation. And so the U.S. went with a pretty aggressive 4-4-2. I mean, really, if you want to get technical, it was more like a 4-1-3-2 or 4-3-1-2. But, a lot of people are debating what the best formation is for the U.S. I think... So before I give my perspective, Christian, what do you think the best formation to maximize our personnel right now should be?
Actually, Kevin and I, my friend Kevin, everybody, hey Kev. So we were watching the game and we were talking about this is probably the best lineup we've seen in a long time. And other than three people that were out there that I would trade for three other ones who I'll go into in a second, it probably was our best squad and best formation to use. We would have probably Fabian Johnson instead of Areola, and then have Brooks and Cameron as the two center backs.
Okay, but you're good with the formation?
I'm fine with this formation, yeah.
What do you think about teams that are stronger? So clearly we're superior to Panama, but against a team that's technically superior, I mean, this formation was pretty offensive, pretty risky. I mean, pretty much the entire game, Pulisic, Wood, and Altidore just kind of stood near midfield. There wasn't a ton of tracking back on defense.
That's going to happen with this formation, but it's going to leave you open. But this team has a lot of actual skill now and power going forward. There's a lot of pace between Nagby and Pulisic, I would say, up on the wings and through the middle. And Altidore is just a bruiser who's going to get in position to hopefully make a play. And Bobby Wood, I really like the way he plays. I think he's all action involved in the game, and though you're going to be open a little bit through the middle because Bradley's not a defensive mid that's going to hold down the fort. He kind of wants to get involved, and that's who he is. Having Brooks and Cameron, I think, as center back is going to help at least a little bit defensively.
Okay. I think that's a little unfair on Bradley. I think he's asked to do a lot of times. I think he can play defensive midfielder if there's another player there that can support him. But
that's what I'd say. I said he can't do it by himself.
Yeah. Matt, I think he can against inferior teams like he just did against Panama, but against superior teams, he can't. Matt, what about you? What do you think the best formation is moving forward for the U.S.?
Well, yeah, like Christian said, this was the best I've seen us play in a really long time. Attacking wise, it looked really good. Other than maybe Mexico, I feel like this would be our best formation throughout all of qualifying playing in CONCACAF. It was very attacking, I think. Other than Mexico, I feel like we're technically better than the other teams and can get away with it. So I think it's an interesting strategy and one to probably pursue going forward.
Okay. I personally I agree that the two striker system I think is what we need. I think it maximizes Josie, and Wood has proven to be a great partner for him. They seem to be developing some chemistry. I also think Pulisic in that center attacking role is where he's maximized for the US. So if you're going to have that kind of triangle at the top there, I think you need more support around it. And going with just one center midfielder, which is Bradley, I think is very, very risky. And I don't think a 4-3-3 with like a wide formation at the top is the best strategy. So I actually think a 3-5-2 would be best, or 5-3-2 with Villafana and Yedlin as the wing backs, having Bradley and Nagby in the middle, along with, I mean, I was impressed with Areola. I think he's 22. He's got a ton of room for improvement. Fabian Johnson has not been impressive to me so far this year. I know in the past he's been good, but he really hasn't been good for his club or for the country in almost a year at this point since he got hurt. So I'd be fine with that formation, but just tucking Areola a little bit more inside, just having more pace there. So I don't know. That's my perspective. I totally agree with bringing Brooks and Cameron in, though, for Beasler and Gonzalez. I'd be fine if Gonzalez, we never
I don't ever want to see him on the field again, ever.
Yeah,
but another formation option that I'm thinking of, kind of to go along with yours, would be a 4-2-2-2. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it is a formation that can be effective in that system. You just play two center mids, and then Pulisic and Nagby, I would say, are kind of the floating attacking mids.
Yeah. I think that there's a big gap underneath the striker. We're getting technical in this podcast, so just bear with us. But yeah, I think when you do that, I think that there's a gap underneath the strikers then. So that there's just some risk there. Also, kind of where I think we can eventually go is maybe Areola becomes an impact sub, and you bring in someone like Tyler Adams or Weston McKennie, who is playing for New York Red Bulls and Schalke, both teenage center midfielders who are tearing things up and just, complete engines that could be all over the field that would work really well in a central midfield pairing with Bradley, I think. So that's a possibility as well. So exciting times for the U.S. They need to take care of business tonight. Do we want to give a quick prediction? I mean, by the time the podcast comes out, I mean, it'll already have happened. But Christian, you want to say what you think is going to happen tonight?
My guess is 2-0 win.
Okay, Matt, what about you?
I'm going 1-1 draw.
Okay, Nervy. I was very nervous last time, but I'm going a little bit more optimistic. I'm going to say 3-1 victory, but it's going to be nervy in the first half, and then we open it up in the second. So let's continue on the World Cup qualifying path and talk about two absolutely enormous teams that one's in danger of missing the World Cup and the other one is definitely missing it, and then some other South American teams that may be missing it. But speaking about Netherlands, who earlier today were officially eliminated from the World Cup, so they won't be there. They weren't in the 2016 Euros either. And tonight, Argentina has an absolutely enormous match against Ecuador that they need to win. And I think they still need a little bit of help, even if they win, to qualify for the World Cup, because they're currently outside of things. It's also possible that Colombia and Chile may not be qualifying for the World Cup either. So, let's talk about all of them. So, Matt, what's your take on Netherlands missing? Do you have a perspective on Argentina? What are your thoughts about all this?
Well, Netherlands, for, I guess, their history, this is pretty shocking, but given their current team and where their squad really is right now, I'm not too surprised. And going against, I know Sweden's the team that came in second. Who came in first in that group?
France, I think. Is that the group?
It's France.
Okay. Yeah, so France, I think, is clearly ahead of Netherlands right now, and Sweden, their youth has been doing so well in the tournaments the last couple tournaments. Like they look like they're going to be good coming up. So I'm not really surprised by Netherlands not making it. Argentina, other than Peru, like there's just so many good teams in South America.
Yeah. So you're not surprised about that? I mean, what if potentially Lionel Messi, world's best player, arguably, not arguably, I personally believe that, him not being there?
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same tournament. I would say, it's not going to be, if Ronaldo wins it, I would say, it would hurt his legacy that Messi wasn't there. Like I feel like the whole cup's over.
Just cancel the World Cup if Messi's not there. All right.
Nothing matters.
All right. Christian, what about you? What do you think about Netherlands missing? What do you think about these giant teams in South America potentially missing?
The Netherlands are a real problem because they're holding on to a generation that has aged and is now 35 years old. And I was reading an article about it today, and they were saying they have a lot of good young youth players who are very talented coming through, but they're not ready for this. They're not ready at this level, and that's why they're relying so heavily on Robin and Schneider and Van Persie still and Huntelaar.
Why aren't they ready? Like, is it like, why aren't they ready? Any ideas?
Because they weren't given the chance yet. I think that is the problem.
Well, like Depay was supposed to be so good. They've had like I feel like for a while now I've been hearing about like good Dutch young players, and then there's other than Van Persie, Robin, and Schneider, none of them have really been consistent. Van Dijk's looking good; he was a good young one people were talking about, but I don't really see them developing as much as they're hyped up to be when they're younger.
Okay, so you think it's a development issue at the club level?
Yeah, I don't know if it's that. It's just like I feel like they're being like when you say they're good, like great youth. Like I just don't think they're as talented as.
But are they even great youth anymore? I mean, Depay's the only one I can think of recent memory that's been like crazy, like hyped and had a big money move. Didn't work out at Manchester, but I think he's doing fairly well with. Is it Lille or Nice? He's somewhere in France.
I'm pretty sure he's on Lyon.
Lyon, okay, but yeah, I thought he was doing fairly well there, but he's just one example. Yeah, I think Christian's spot on that they just haven't bled the youth players in there, and I think it may be a developmental thing too, because you don't even really hear about promising youth players.
Yeah.
So what about in South America, Christian? What do you think about what's going on there?
You were saying that I think Argentina needs help still. Peru play Colombia, and they're both only 1 point ahead. So no matter what, if Argentina wins, they would jump both of them, or at least one of them. So
okay,
technically it is in their own hands, but I think it's going to be a very tight contest tonight. I know we were talking about that earlier that the Ecuador coach is suspended for the match. And does seem a little shady on the timing. Yeah. I understand that, but
very kindly.
And now people are going to point to that as the reason if Argentina do get through that. Oh, it's because of that. There's a whole nother conspiracy theory. But at the end of the day, these are professional players. The coach is still involved in picking the team and getting them ready. And regardless if he's on the bench or not, I don't think it's going to play a part. And if Argentina get through, it's because Argentina were the better team. And it would be ridiculous if they don't get through. Chile are one that I'd be very surprised if they don't. They've been very solid in the last two Copa Americas. They play Brazil tonight, so you never know what can happen in that type of game. But Brazil have qualified.
But Brazil's never lost. Brazil's never lost a home qualifier, if I remember correctly, like in their history.
Yeah, I did see that, but they're going to be playing a second-rate team tonight, and I don't think that Chile's going to win, but I could see them walking out with at least a point.
But if they walk out,
they've never lost a home World Cup qualifier.
Yeah,
I think I read that somewhere as well.
Yeah. That would have been a good. That would have been a good trivia question.
Yeah, I was going to say, how has this not been a trivia question?
Yeah, well, we blew it.
All right.
Yeah,
all right,
I guess. Yeah. So I mean, at this point, I mean, I think as crazy as it would be, I think that all three of them likely get in. So Chile's in third right now. Chile is in third. Colombia's in fourth. Peru fifth, and Argentina sixth. And like you said, with Colombia and Peru playing each other, and Colombia being at home, no, Colombia's on the road. That's going to be really interesting. I could see Colombia potentially not making it through.
Yeah, but I still think regardless of who wins and who comes in sixth, whatever, I still think whoever plays New Zealand is going to get through.
Yeah, but sixth is out.
No, yeah, sixth is it?
Yeah, sixth is out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why it's a big deal. So, I mean, by the time everybody hears this, this may be moot, but still really, really interesting stuff going on. And it's crazy that Argentina, with all the talent that they have not been able to figure out a way to play together. With Messi, a lot of times it's just everybody deferring to him, and everybody almost forgets how to play, which is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, I mean, if I was with him, I'd pass it to him and let him go too.
Yeah, but you're not a top-flight professional who,
you don't know that.
Some of these teams have players that. Some of these players play on teams that are some of the best in the world, and yes, Messi is the best of them all, but they still play with incredibly good players. So
yeah,
they need to figure things out.
The fact that Dybala is saying he can't play with Messi because they play the exact same way, it just seems ridiculous that he'd say that.
I mean, Xavi and Iniesta played almost the exact same way, and they figured out a way to play together.
I
I didn't really watch it. They were tiny and a lot.
I'd say they play the same way.
Yeah, I just lump them together all the time. So that is the end of this particular segment. We're going to go to some music. No fan futsal game this week, but we will be playing Bundesliga this upcoming weekend. So look for that on the site. It'll be Bros Talking Soccer and Bund in the parentheses around it. And we'll be playing our weekly fan futsal game with the Bundesliga, with German clubs. So look for that on the site. Join that game at fanfutsal.com. We're going to go to music, and then we'll close with our last segment. Stick with us.
Ausgezeichnet.
Yeah.
Patty Van Aanholt.
Ooh.
Another one I was thinking of. It turned out to be that good. Let me think. There has to be that. Wijnaldum, I guess he turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah, Wijnaldum's pretty good.
I mean, Quincy Promes is a winger. He's decent. He's not great.
Ryan Babel is back in the squad.
I love Ryan Babel.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe they called him back. I still can't believe, Schneider and Van Persie are still getting minutes for him. I mean,
it's ridiculous.
It's crazy to me that a top flight, European country still is.
With their traditions and history, it's insane.
Yeah, but I mean, you even look at the managers, and the managers, are struggling all over Europe, right? So Van Gaal, the game passed him by. He was very good. They passed him by.
Dick Advocat is another one.
Yeah. Even Koeman, Ronald Koeman, this year at Everton.
Well, he's a terrible club, so.
Okay. Yeah, so the Netherlands needs to have their own Das Reboot. I got it on the shelf back there.
Das Reboot.
Yeah. Okay. You guys good to do our last segment here?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Get that out of the way. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Welcome back, listeners, to our second and final segment. We're going to kick things off talking about the Ballon d'Or list that was just released, the 30-man list. They'll then trim that down to a 3-man short list. I don't know when, sometime in the next few months. But I think these 30 people are the ones eligible for voting, or were these just the top 30 vote getters and the vote has already been decided? Do you guys know?
I'm pretty sure it's decided. I think
it's
that's
already
how it
decided.
works.
Why did they do that then?
It's so dumb. It's really stupid.
Yeah. So the voting has already happened?
Mm-hmm.
So these next 2 months just don't matter.
I think there might be another vote for the top 3 at the end. It's something weird like that.
Okay. So that may make more sense.
Are you sure? Because even at the end, they do percentages of people of the votes, right?
Yeah, I think it might be done.
Yeah. Because I remember always seeing who got what percent of the votes, and fourth place always has a percent.
All right, so that's weird to me that they do the voting 2 months before the year ends, and these next 2 months kind of don't matter. But
it's because they base it off of the season before. I feel like they don't even use the year.
They base it off. Okay, all right. So we're getting distracted here, listeners. But basically, the list was released, and there's 30 different people on there. Some of the highlights. Ronaldo, Messi, Suarez, Neymar. Harry Kane made the list, and Kylian Mbappe was the youngest player to ever make the 30-man list at 18 years and however many days. I don't know the exact days, but he beat out Michael Owen, who was the previous youngest player. Guys, any thoughts on Christian? Let's start with you. Who do you think is going to win it? Is there any surprises on the list? Anybody clearly left off? What do you think?
Who do I think is going to win it is not who I think deserves to win it, obviously. But I think Ronaldo is clearly going to win it this year. He is, just because he won the Champions League. And yeah, he had a really good final couple games in the Champions League. But over the course of the last season, he was not very consistent. He came alive when it mattered most at the end of the year, which is what a big player needs to do. But I just haven't. And this year, he's still not really impressing. He's scoring in the Champions League, but he's yet to score a goal in La Liga. And although he was suspended for 3 games, he's still not looking 5 games, whatever it is. I try not to pay attention to him. Even though he was suspended for that time, and he's a brilliant player, I just don't think that he can live up to what Messi has been doing again this year. Like, since Neymar left and when Suarez was out, Messi looked just as good as ever.
Matt, what about you? What do you think about who do you think is going to win?
I think Ronaldo is going to win. Yeah, I think Ronaldo's going to win. I don't see a case for anybody else really this year. Messi, I don't know if it's like Barcelona in itself. I know they're doing well in the league this year, but last year I couldn't figure out, like, they just didn't look like the fearing, like, Barcelona that I've pretty much seen my entire life of watching soccer, and didn't look like Messi was really somebody dominating games like he used to. Ronaldo was just scoring goals, and you left off. He's killing it internationally, Ronaldo, with how many goals he's scored recently. So. And Messi struggles with international, so I think that's something people may look at.
Messi doesn't struggle internationally. His team struggles, but he still performs, and actually his team performs a lot better when he's in the lineup versus when he's not. And you could argue, Ronaldo, that didn't happen. But this is prior season in 2016 when he wasn't in the final. His team ended up winning. But I'm with Christian. I think I'm with both you guys. I think Ronaldo ends up winning. Now, does he deserve to win? I don't know. I think an overemphasis is placed on when a team wins and a player on that team, wins the Champions League or wins an international tournament. There's 11 players on the field, and when one player is on that team and he happens to be very, very good, Ronaldo or Messi, I guess that just ends up being the deciding factor. But I think it's almost just laziness and just easy to make that decision. I mean, when you look at holistically who's having a better 2017 calendar year, I think Messi is. And, by the statistics and by the numbers, I fall into Christian's camp on that front. But I understand the voting is going to go to Ronaldo, and there's not much point in debating it. What do you think about Mbappe making the list, and or anyone left off or making it that you didn't think deserved it, Christian?
I was very surprised to see Mane and Coutinho from Liverpool being on this list. It was a little bit of a shock to me. Coutinho, I understand. He's probably top 30. Yeah, I'd say he is. But Mane over Alexis Sanchez is ridiculous, in my opinion. I love Mane, and I will take him any day of the week. But Alexis Sanchez is probably the best player in England, up there with De Bruyne. And I don't understand why he's not being included. I understand his attitude has made him such a dick, and I'm okay with him not being it for that reason. But he's such class, and I don't think it's fair that he's not included in the best 30 players in the world.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's a good shout. Okay, so I think that's a good shout. Matt, what about you?
Yeah, I don't really have any problems with the 30 that were picked. Mbappe, I think the year he had and the hype around him, and even when the spotlight was shown on him last year, how well he still performed. I think he deserves to be on that list. De Bruyne on that list. I think that's definitely deserved. Just speaking from Man City point of view, I wish maybe Aguero, but he was hurt last year. I don't even know if he deserves it. So a bit surprised to see one player in the top 30, but not too surprised.
Yeah, Christian, I think I was spot on with you. I was surprised to see Mane and Coutinho. When I thought about it more, I could see Coutinho. I was really surprised about Mane. And I think Mbappe absolutely deserves to be on that list. He's with all of the pressure, all of the attention that was put on him, he just continues to perform. And it's incredibly impressive from him. So I think he's definitely got the potential to win the Ballon d'Or in the somewhat near future. So it's going to be interesting to see. Almost him and Neymar are going to probably have the next rung of competition for it at this point. I don't know who else would be fourth or fifth best player in the world that you could see. Any thoughts there?
I mean, it depends on.
Are you talking right now or in the future?
So Messi and Ronaldo are getting towards the twilight of their career, right? Ronaldo, I think this is his last chance. I think he's going to taper off, and this is his last Ballon d'Or, my personal opinion. Messi may have one or two left, and then at which point there's going to be a vacuum, and there's going to be this next rung of players that are going to be perennial sort of Ballon d'Or winners, in my opinion. So I think it's kind of Neymar and Mbappe are kind of that next rung.
Yeah, I'm putting Sané up there.
Okay. I would put De Bruyne up there before I'd put Sané up there.
I think by the time that Messi and Ronaldo are done winning, it's going to be time for, like Dembele, Sané. Pulisic's still going to be young. Martial is going to be good. I think those guys are going to be great. And by the time Messi and Ronaldo are done.
All right. I don't know if Pulisic is still going to be young. But Christian, what about you?
I think Asensio is being underrated here. I think he's going to become one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But I think it's going to see a dramatic change in the way things are, kind of back to the way they used to be. I don't think it's going to be two players dominating it every single year.
For 10 years.
I think we're going to be seeing every year or two someone else is going to be winning it, and it's going to just go back to the way it was before 2008.
Yeah, and that's the way it kind of should be, and that's interesting. As awesome as it is to have these larger than life people that are supreme talents and Messi and Ronaldo there, I think it'll be good to have a period where there's not just that utter dominance and there is some serious competition. So I'm looking forward to that. Speaking of Neymar, he has got an issue with Barcelona. I know we weren't just speaking of Neymar, but we talked about him at some point during that discussion, so I'm just going to use that as a transition. He has still got issues with Barcelona. He transferred from Barcelona to PSG this summer, and there was all kinds of contractual issues associated with that transfer. When he signed with Barca, he got an $8 million bonus, €8 million bonus that Barcelona wants back. Neymar was supposed to have a loyalty bonus of like 25 million euros by being on Barcelona in July of 2017, and then he transferred in August. So he claims that he is still owed that $25 million payment. Barcelona is withholding that, and so he has requested and written to UEFA to kick Barcelona out of the Champions League. Matt, what do you make of this whole situation?
So I don't understand why every story I hear out of Spain is somebody not paying somebody the right amount or just not at all. I don't know what it is, but something with the financial fair play and the way the players are getting paid in Spain just isn't making sense to me. So the fact that this story came out is not surprising in the slightest. When I read it, I don't even know what's going to happen because this stuff seems kind of... What?
Did he break up for you, Christian, or no? Was it just me?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything he said at the end.
Okay. So you broke up a little bit there, Matt, but we got that it wasn't making any sense to you.
Yeah.
What do you think? So does Neymar have a case here or no?
Well, I mean, if it was in his contract that he was given that money and that date passed and he was still owed the 25 million on a player, I feel like he should get that money. But I mean, I guess it is a little scummy to leave right after he's due that payment.
Yeah. Okay, Christian, what about you? What do you think about this whole situation? So does Neymar have a right to ask for Barcelona to be kicked out?
All right, kids, plug your ears.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my God. This guy, he is such a fucking spoiled brat. It drives me crazy. He just will not stop. And every story that's ever written, I feel like anytime I go on any soccer website, it's about Neymar. I'm getting sick of it, and it's always him complaining about the next thing. And even when he was on Barcelona, he's pissing me off, but at least he's a joy to watch at times. His off the field antics are just painful. And I just think, yeah, he might have a case here, but the way things sound, like when Barcelona are talking about the contract, he didn't fulfill it completely. I don't know. I don't think any of us have actually seen the contract, so we cannot say anything. Oh, you have?
Yeah,
did you?
I got an inside guy.
Oh, okay. Are you the notary?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But he just needs to accept. He's got so much money. He's got so much fame and glory. Just move the fuck on, man. It's you got to get over it.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, at this point, I mean, it's easy for us. I mean, 25 million euros is a ton of money, and it's, you know, he has ungodly amounts of money, and so it's easy for us to kind of say he should move on. But I think it's easier said than done. At the end of the day, that's still a ton of money, and so if it was in his contract, I guess he's entitled to it. I personally think it feels, like Matt said, pretty scummy to do that and then be demanding Barca pay it, especially when he moved to PSG. He's on ungodly wages, and that transfer caused him to you know, get a ton of money. Christian, please stop whatever you're doing. And yeah, so I don't know why we have to do this. Every week you're making some sort of sound or something. Matt never has an issue. I don't know
what that was.
Whatever you're doing, just please, dear God, stop. It's very annoying. So yeah, I guess Neymar has a legit case here, but I don't think there's any way like Barca gets kicked out of the Champions League as a result of this.
No, there's no way he's going to get kicked. They're going to get kicked out of the Champions League. If anything, they're going to come to a settlement, and they're going to give him something just so this goes away.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably where this eventually ends up heading. So with that, I think that's the end of everything we wanted to talk about. Christian, anything you wanted to add on this or any of the other topics?
I do not believe so this week.
Okay. Matt, what about you?
Nah, I got nothing.
Nothing. A couple of things I wanted to mention. Pirlo announced he is retiring. Andrea Pirlo from New York City FC. He has had an incredible career, almost 20 years. And, you know, we wish him all the best. He has been a fantastic, awesome player to watch. You know, athletically, he was certainly not gifted, but he made the most out of his career. So that was pretty awesome. Christian?
I want to say that I saw Kaka today, said he might be following Pirlo into retirement. And that would be two legends of the game walking away at the same time.
Yep. So I was going to mention that too. Yeah, he gave an interview with a radio station, I think in Brazil, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he basically said he just doesn't enjoy it anymore. And so that's usually writing on the wall that retirement is right around the corner. So again, he was the last Ballon d'Or winner before the Messi, Ronaldo dominance of the last 10 years. So he had a fantastic career as well. So wish him well in the future. And last thing I wanted to mention was, did you guys see the video of the U.S. men's national team's training field before training?
I saw pictures
the other night. Yeah, and the videos. So there was so much rain down in Trinidad and Tobago that almost like a moat formed around the field. And so the players had to be carried over by national team staff on like piggybacks, and some of the guys were carried in funny ways. And so it was just a hilarious video to see that, you know, professional athlete, you know, at the top level still goes through some of the stuff that I think we can all relate to playing Sunday league or amateur soccer growing up. So it was funny to see, kind of harkening back to some of those days.
Did you see Pulisic's comment that this isn't the worst field I've ever played on? That was a good one.
I didn't see that. A lot of comments were like, I'm surprised Christian had to be carried across. I'm surprised he couldn't walk on water, stuff like that. So a lot of good fun jokes on soccer Twitter.
It's the banter.
Soccer Twitter. Yes.
We like to have fun over here.
Yeah, we like to have fun here. No trivia answer. So with that brings us to the end of the podcast. Thank you for sticking with us and listening this week. If you want to check out any of the stories that we talked about on this week's episode, we will have them in the show notes, and they will also be tweeted out from our Twitter handle, which is @BT Soccer Pod. Follow us on there. If you want to get in contact with us, our email is bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com. And everything was brought to you by FanFutsal, FanFutsal.com. Christian gave you a couple last little whatever the heck he's doing before we signed off here. So you can thank him for that. And with that, we will talk to you next week. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. See ya. Dude, what were you doing right at the end there?
Just
yeah, like, Christian, are you doing that on purpose? Now he's on mute. Now he's on mute.
I don't think he knows how to unmute himself.
Oh my God. All right. Anyone still watching on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. We will be back next week. We're coming up on a year. We're about a month away from our 1 year anniversary. Pretty crazy here. But thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you soon. See you, everyone. Bye.